asalaamaaleykum mbokk yi di seetaan li nga xam ne mooy gis-gis waxtaanee si li nga xam ne rek mooy yóbbu dëkk bi kanam.
The Constitution provides President can declare a state of emergency in two circumstances. Now I believe Gambia's security is at risk for invasion. He has a right. Constitutional code, as volcano, it can last for 2 weeks.
yéen ñëpp gis ngeen ne dañu oote ne nañ ànd soppi nguur gi fi nekkoon loolu pexe la parti yi bokkuñu xalaat bokkuñu jubluwaay lii pexe la rek pour génnee ngu réew ci loxo benn nit te jubluwaay bi mooy won ne fexe nag nit ñi moom réew mi ne nañu ànd ci xel ñu tabaxaat réew mi.
Tegabi, you want to be humble and everything. Why you are not an ordinary minister in this cabinet? That's true. Because you are head of the UDP, you are like a father figure to most of the...
Mr. Saba, lolu moy sa gis-gis.
Lolu moy dega. It's the fact. Whether mom accept or not, lolu moy dega. So the point is, lu ñu latte moy nit ñi luñ fogg moy because of that prominence bi nga am. The baro def la dé consult or légui yow ya dé yobbu ay nit ci baro pour mu appoint lolu moy latte ndax li mo am.
President Adama dafa am mandate. Because Gambians choose. Ne na liggéey réew mi. mu tànn ay nit ñu liggéey ak moom man ci ñooñ laa bokka maa ngi liggéey ak moom
ngadi ko ande mela ay mol ay tiñarol minke Gambia jang mol ka wole tan ka foko APRC fananda do tiñaro tola alle mu stade le so ka APRC ta kala image de da kotenge isaje fu Gambia no kotenge si la pati ni na kotenge
No, yalon say you are putting me in a funny position. Mol ka fo do kam do ni fa de ko bita jahannam. Ni kala tay ko kala
ñu ngi leen di dalal ci gis-gisi tey bi ñu ngi start tey 7:30 fii ci Zion complex muy new place boo xam ne foofu lañ dee defee gis-gis o fii lañ dee defee gis-gis sorry tey ñu fi am gan bu mag Dr. Ismaila Ceesay muy presidential candidate for CA tey mu ñëw fii pour waxtaan ak moom ci wàllum CA maanaam seen policies of course ak seen programmes and seen activities of course of recent ñu ngi gis IEC ñu ngi ban façon erreur la gay def ba somehow ñu disqualify on CA and then ñu gis CA dem court ñu win gaay may faati tamit win gaay so loolu yëpp dinañ ko indi ci waxtaan yi nga xam ne Dr. Ismaila Ceesay dinañu mën a help pour leeral ko Dr. Ismaila Ceesay kontaan naa si noo ñëwee si gis-gis bi bu baax because Dr. Ismaila Ceesay moo ma jël 2011 moo nekkoon suma lecturer mu guide ma ni kon time bi maa ngi woon abu ko si street si di def leneen lu dul loolu so I'm really proud of you noo nekkee presidential candidate yi CA docteur ñu ngi laa dalal ci gis-gis bi bu baax ci gis-gis nga bokkoon waaye fu mu nekkatuloo ak ñun yaa ngi nekk presidential candidate yaa ngi teg sa bët bi ci place yi Adama Barrow docteur ndax mu nga ñu wax ci gàttal lan ay différence ci CA ak yeneen political parties yu nekk Gambia first ñu start ak loolu.
jërëjëf Ansu di la nuyu bu baax a baax di nuyu say naataango ñi nga xam ne ñoom laa fi fekk tey muy Basamba ak Lamine Ndiaye di nuyu askan wi di nuyu waa Gambia ak ñi nga xam ne ñoo bokk Citizens Alliance di nekk bitim réew ak ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk biir réew nga ne difference Citizens Alliance
with other political parties. Okay.
ba su ñëwee si policy different nañ su ñëwee su ñoo doxalee parti tamit different ñu commencé si policy ñun dañ gestu parti yëpp seen policy déglu leen seet seen policy seen gom-gom si politique ak ñun suñ gis-gis ci politique mu utee mooy ci ban fan na mooy ñun suñ mbébét du pour liggéey réew mi tey ak jafe-jafe nga xam ne askan bi wala moo jànkuwanteel waaye pareel ëllëg foofu lañ utee ci politique
ok
parce que buñ xoolee parti yëpp ñoom ñëpp seen jubluwaay mooy te naka la ñoo saafarale jafe-jafe yi tey
ok
ci wàllum koom-koom ci wàllum ndox ci wàllum courant ci wàllum liggéey ci lépp ñun nag emuñ ci dañ jéggi loolu ne ñun tey rek taxuñoo jóg waaye naka la ñu liggéey réew pour ëllëg parce que ndaw yaa ngeen ñëw ñu xool population bi ni moo increasé mooy population growth ñu gis ne at 5.3 births per woman mooy jigéen di Gambie bu nekk xayma nañ ne di nga am juróomi doom bés bu nekk téeméer ak ñeent fukk ñaari xale mooy juddu si réew mi su loolu continuer xayma nañ ne balaa nga ne ñaari fukki at ak juróom dinañ jógee si ñaari million ak genn wala buñ nekkee nii tey ak juróomi million réew nag soo ko sampa surtout pour juróomi million léegi nga ko war a commencé kon ñun suñu politique suñu xam-xam suñu gis si politique mooy naka la ñoo commencé tey pour liggéey réew mi pour ëllëg ak yeneen fan yu bëri suñu wee si doxalini parti gis nañ ne parti yu bëri yàgg nañ am jiit yoo xam ne yàgg nañ si parti bi di jiite parti yooyu noonu gis nañ ne tamit internal démocratie bi des na ñun nag bëgg a si doxalin boo xam ne si doxalini parti bi si boppam bëgg a soxal démocratie bi gën koo dëgëral gis na ñu am loi yoo xam ne si constitution du parti bi ne kenn du mun a jiite parti bi lu weesu fukki at boobu lañ si dugal pour ñu gis ne parti bi du nekk ne dañ koo sampa mu wër kenn nit kooku bés bu mu bàyyi rek parti bi tas waaye parti bi ñu sukkandikoo ko si lan mooy si gis-gis ak si xalaat ak si gëm-gëm te moo dee sax waaye suñ ko sukkandikoo si kenn nit su kooku génnee foofu parti bi dafa tas waaye soo ko sukkandikoo si gis-gis ak si gëm-gëm ak si xalaat su fa kooku génnee sax gis-gis dafa di des gëm-gëm bi des ak xalaat yi des boobaa parti bi dina mën a continuer keneen jiite ko
ok just pour reminder ne ñu ngi def gis-gis bi fii ci Paradise Estate fii ci Zion Complex of course ñu ngi part nag ñoom ñu nekk di sponsor coffee yu neex yi gis nga Bassamba nu moo naanee affaire yi coffee yu neex yi ak lekka yu neex yi and then gaa ngi am branch fii nga xam ne mooy Bijulo gaa ngi am supermarket gaa ngi am pastry bakery ak tamit lu bëri even bureau d'essence gaa ngi ko fi amee we are very proud of Aziz because Gambian la dafa bàyyi Sweden ñëw decide pour invest ci Gambia ba pare mu employ about 80 Gambians ñu fiy liggéey tey maa ngi fi with Bassamba of course with Lamine Jai Said Mati dinañu join in few minutes because dafa xaloon a jàppa moo tax Doudou Dia dafa xala jàppa moom mënut a ñëw Nene Freda tamit of course dafa jàppa mënut a ñëw and then Amat Jeng ñu ngi ko nuyu bu baax because previous months yi yëpp mu ngi ñu doon join si gis-gis bi but right now mu ngi Sweden and really appreciate nañ contribution am si show bi donc nañ ñëw ci waxtaan bi and then dinaa ñëw si suma panelist yi ñu ngi gis maa ngi go through seen manifesto bi and then ma gis ne da ngeen di create 75,000 jobs loolu ngeen wax and then ñu gis ne suñ population bi mooy youth population bi about 40% of them maanaam nekkuñ di liggéey ndaw yi ban plan ak ban strategy ngeen di put in place doc su dee da ngeen ñëw in power let's say 2021 or 2026
yokka nañ si li nga xam ne bunti xëy yi ñi nga xam ne yu lañ bëgg a ibil ndaw yi si manifesto bi 75,000 la waaye buñ xayma manifesto buñ ko defaree yàgg na tuuti kon am na benn at waaye ñu génnee suñ 10-point plan about 2 months ago ñu ne léegi sax 75,000 jobs a doyut léegi ñu ngi produce nañ create 100,000 jobs suñ force 5 years si in office te naka lañ ko defee mooy parce que dañ gis ne tey youth unemployment rate bi 41.5% la ndaw yu bari amuñ xëy te loolu sax am na li nga xam ne tamit suñ gëstoo ba gëstuwaat dina ko war a uppa under employment rate bi sax moo uppa mooy lan ngay liggéey bu nga xam ne sa xam-xam màccut ak liggéey boobu noonu mel ni nga dem university nga jàng ba am political science degree mun loo am liggéey mi nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa xam-xam nga dem di liggéey si banque nga nekk tela mooy under employment moo gën a bari sax léegi lu ñu def mooy ne ñun ñu ne am na fànn yoo xam ne tey suñ ko liggéey gestu ko liggéey ko dañ mën a amal ndaw yi xëy yoo xam ne du xaaj du jana la liimal mooy marine sector bi Gambie war nañoo seetaat bu baax suñ marine sector bi am na potentiel parce que tey soo gisee marine sector bi ñun moomuñ ko waaye ndaw yu bari fi tey suñ lañ joxoon opportunité amee kan fi youth investment bank boo fond boo xam ne na mën a jox ndaw yi capital pour ñu mën a own seen gaali boppa di xëy si marine sector bi nañu mën a produce at least benn 10,000 jobs foofu noonu añoo si tourism sector bi te ñu ngi create only 100 ñu ngi attract only 150,000 to 200,000 tourists every year last year wàññeeku na because of COVID ak bu Thomas ku demee into administration. This year Covid mu ngi pick up ñu ne 150,000 la ñu expect. waaye Gambia am na potential pour isi 1 million tourists every year. Cape Verde 7 years ago ñu doon attract 150,000.
Okay.
Wecc ko ñu def si tourism sector bi tey ñu ngi attack 800,000 tourists every year.
So what is the main problem?
ñu ngi laa wax
Why is it that ne yaa ngi mention but why is it that ne tourism bi mënut a attract to that number boo nekk di
parce que products yi ñoo jaay dafa outdated ba léegi 60s tourism bi lañ nekk di def di jaay ñetti S mooy sun, sand ak sea the traditional tourism.
Okay.
ba pare secondly yi ñu nga xam ne yooyu la ñoo jublu di leen attract dañ ko war a expand focus also on regional tourism ak local tourism yow Ansu Jack mun ngaa ne dimanche nga jël sa joboot nga dem Fooñi nga dem nekk fa tourist wala nga dem Basse nga ñëwaat te war nañu mën a extract Sierra Leone yi ak Nigeria ni ak ñu bari waaye Gambie am na leen li nga xam ne du only sun, sand ak sea Gambie am nañu wildlife mun nañu create artificial wildlife parks balaa tour di jógee London di dem Kenya mu wàcca fii nii medical tourism Gambie mun nañoo transform Bonto wala Jinak into conference island ñu promote conference tourism mooy lan build fa facilities yoo xam ne tey World Bank IMF suñu ko def seen conference yu mag yi mun nañu ñëw parce que Gambie dafa peaceful boo xam ne mun nañu ñëw def si ko mooy conference tourism Gambia has about 600 bird species boo xam ne amul fenn si Africa ñu promote bird watch nga tuwaay nañ ko def so dafa mel ni da nga expand tourism nga rebuild suñ already structures yi am ñu ngi exist ñoom juf rek ñooñu noonu nga promote ecotourism so ba nga promote tourism so suñ essayé 1 million tourists ñu ngi laa woon ne 10 tourists bu ñëw 1 job is created 1 million tourists is 100,000 jobs lu ñu mën a create only si tourism sector bi fàtte loolu noonu su ñu attract 1 million tourists it means that na tourist capacity dañ ko war a increase we need more rooms loolu mean we need to build more hotels imaginal jógee Tanji ba Katong there is no single hotel Brufut la moom mooy former Sheraton Tanji is a beautiful place amut hotel te soo amee hotel Tanji tourist dañ faa bëgg a dem parce que mën nañu jóge Casamance di ñëwaat Sanyang amut hotel Gunjur amut hotel Batakunku amut hotel Brikama Kiti amuñ hotel Bansang Basse amuñ hotel soo fa demee ñun mi nekk politique suñ fa demee pour am fu ñu fanaan sax di nekk problème restaurant bu crèche amuñ ko so dañu war a jaay experience loolu la ñoo ooyee li fi naka tuddaa di sax experience loolu la ñu war a jaay suñ ko jaayee su waay nit ñi mën a attaque nit ñi si food si culture si music si art so soo promote industrie bi nañ promote art Gambia tey ñaata xale ñooy xëy si art music ñaata xale ñooy xëy si music nam invent dem si sport ñaata so da ngay ne potential bam fa pour ñu mën a créer 100,000 jobs si secteur yi nii mooy marine agriculture ñu modernize ko attract youth si agriculture ñaata la ñu mën a créer foofu noonu River Gambia bi mu ngi wës River Gambia moo tax Gambia existe mooy suñu raison d'être soo gisee Gambia am te River Gambia bi bu tubaab ñëwee amut interest si Sénégal amut interest fenn River Gambia xaw faa mën na ko navigate for trading purposes moom moo tax Gambia créer waaye tey mënuñ foo def pour mu promote so secteur yi laa la wax ne mooy marine sector bi agri sector service sector créer tech hubs yoo xam ne suñ ndaw ñi nga xam ne ñoom dañ seen xam-xam dafa màcc si mbiri tech ñuy toog fii di liggéeyal Amazon di liggéeyal Google di liggéeyal ay compagnie yoo xam ne fële lañ nekk waaye fii lañ nekk fii Gambia fii di leen liggéeyal parce que ñun si digital world bi ñoo si sports promote grassroots sports ndaw yu bëri mun nañoo leen jox leen xam-xam ñuy coach xale yi am académie promote music am music college boo xam ne tey musique dafa boom suñ ndaw ñoo nekk si musique ñu mën a compete ak ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk outside waaye te loolu nekku fa ak arts so moo tax may la ne ñun am nañ gis-gis bi am nañ pexe yoo xam ne te suñ toogee 100,000 jobs mën nañ koo créer si secteur yi nii.
ok maa ngi leen di remind ne ngeen di seetaan gis-gis fii ci Zion of course internet baa ngi baax torop amuñu benn interruption today because DHK ñoo ñu nekk di support through Zion internet boo xam ne bu baax because gis nañ ne previous 2 weeks yi yëpp ñu ngi amoon problème ci wàllum internet boobu noonu Basamba naa start ak yow so gis nañ dëgg nañ dog lu mu wax yëpp and then at some point if I'm not wrong Halifa Sallah waxoon na ne ñum I think seen debate gis naa debate am with Essa Fall and at some point moom ak Dr Ceesay mu ngi wax ne ñum doctor they have fine ideas but then most of these ideas yu gars yi di wax maybe dafa difficult pour ñu war a ko mun a implement yaa ngi dégg dog lu ma wax ndax foog nga ne 75,000 jobs you dog wax ne is possible.
But I think it can be more than that. In fact maa ngi nuyu suma brother bi tey moom moo toj internet bi maa ngi ko ne happy birthday you know démb xam nga ñu ngi woon ci birthday celebration maa ngi nuyu suma brother Lamine Ndiaye ak Ansu our favorite host. It can be more than that for me in fact
Doctor didn't mention about our resources. We have a lot of resources, untapped resources. Resources you have, you know, in our waters, you know, in our lands. We have a lot of resources. The lowly sector bo xamne la dafa create job. Sector bo xamne soko developing nga industrialize ko dafa create job. And Africa, this is the only way for Africa for us to reach there. We have to industrialize, whether we like it or not. Every country or every continent dafa wara jël train bobu nonu pour mu egg to a certain stage. Lolu is a must. If you look at that area alone could give you another 100,000. So we're talking about a 200,000 job creation for not only for young people, but looking at legacy, agriculture was the biggest employer. Now munge wacha, because you know what, government bi how man da fulaluñ agriculture, but des nañ liggéey bi dafa des. Liggéey bi dafa des because da nga gis amna yo xamne ñu ko import Gambia. Nga xalaat ko toothpick sax dañ ko import di ko fi indi. Yo xamne ay garab lañu dog rek ñu indi ñu am industry yo xamne dañ ko produce fi toothpick. Huh? So there are a lot of things. There are a lot of other, you know. Of course, doctor target the 100,000 we meet nago, but I think it can be more than that. You know, if you look at the resources that we have, if you look at the untapped resources that we have, you're looking at what is happening in our waters. We are not even aware. Most of our young people are out of job because you know ñu nekk di liggéey ci ndox bi. Most of them are not Gambians. So Gambians we need to be trained in those areas. We need to be, and there are so many people, young people here in the tech boom wax ni. We need to expose. We need to help these young people. All they need is some kind of like a training, you know, or some kind of competition. You know, we will you know get those skills out there.
Now, Basama, then you fast track CA new political party la. I think 3 years or maybe less, lagay in place. The people until now with disqualified Giss of recent and a lot of you know talks around Giss debate be with Halifa Sallah, which was really good because a chunk of Gambians said and then they could appreciate. Is there anything new? Because Doc one about CA, la difference again in political party. Is there anything new law hamne CA amnenko and then you think there are other parties you hamne amnenko? If there is any.
I think CA has injected political interest in a lot of young people here in this country. At the time when I was in high school, I don't care about you know voting, but I see high school students you know they're into politics now because of CA. Say doctor is a young guy, and all of them are looking forward to going to the university. He's lecturing at the university. Then most of them also have mentors who are also teaching or they are students at the university. So I think CA dafa change lulu. So CA has changed, you know, the political phenomenon, of course. Then change a lot in terms of interest, you know, from a lot of groups, not even young people, but also I'm the come, you know, my age group. A lot of them amatuñ confidence, you know, in politics. They didn't feel that this politician can do or can change something. And I think, you know, also, of course, so do you see the Kavi. For Romba, I just Dr. Ceesay. They just living up Ceesay the Kavi. So also, I think the branding was also great. Of course, then you know they had an idea, and then the idea is great. Mota, you know, the absence of CA was the most talked about, you know, than any other political party. And then, of course, you know, fighting back and you know, looking for the rest from the court was also a turnaround, you know, for Gambian politics. I think CA is an interesting player and is an important player in our democracy.
Lamin, so opinion about CA, is there anything new? And then from there you shift to doctors and policies regarding 75,000 jobs you guys will create.
Thank you, Ansu Jack. Doc, happy birthday. Thank you. I was going to be there, but unfortunately, I couldn't make. Sorry about that. My nuyu ñep ñi am na ñi sétane gis bi tay mom I'm not sure ni can do complain tay internet is okay.
Yeah, of course.
And we thank DHK.
Yeah.
In terms of CA, yes, CA changed the business bi, season politics bi. For a very long time. Nit ñi liñ amone and that has to do with consistent buñ fi amé won. We had a dictatorship. It was very difficult for young people, especially in the way you bokasi politics. Politics remain the exclusive reserve or preserve, if you like, of Magi Lawon, the not so educated young people. Ñom ñoo chawaron ci politics bi. But with the end of the dictatorship and the emergence of the proliferation, party bari commencé di génna, including party yoo xam ne nit ñi dañ ko dee xool ñu gis ci seen boppa, especially young people. CA ci ñooñu la bokka. So CA bu ñu ñëwee automatically this is a party boo xam ne ndaw yi ñu very identify nañ seen boppa ak Dr. Ceesay. But also Dr. Ceesay liñ xam ci history mooy this guy has been at the university for a very long time, for more than a decade. Xale yu bari jaar nañ ci loxoom. So that way interact na ak a lot of young people. So now, Doctor coming into politics, all of us were there, and we fell in love with him, with his ideas, numde halate, and all of that. So what I do see politics, automatically you see a lot of young people. Ñu toppa ko wala ñu jënda mom ideas yu amé. So loolu laa gis, I think there's been a great difference. I think said ñëw na. So yes, I think there's been a great difference in terms of doctor seen ñëw bi ci politique bi.
But how do you see doc send 75,000 jobs? Is it that possible pour gars yi war ko mën a achieve within 5 years or within a term?
I think it's possible. Mën nañ ko achieve because it has to be based on a program, a solid program. But I mean, like a solid program as a government, you should be able to do it because if you look at the sectors, there are a lot of opportunities in the fisheries sector, you have thousands and thousands of people working in that sector alone. And those people are gainfully employed. They are gainfully employed. So you can tap into that sector. Opportunities in Nyungfa. You can do that. And the tourism sector, you have over has vision. A government that is serious, all you need to do is to invest. Investment renga sohla in those institutions. How do you go about it? For example, for the tourism sector, for the fisheries sector, if you want to invest in that sector, you need to empower young people in terms of training, for example. That is very important. You have to train them. Some, in fact, you have to empower them financially. Maybe you have to buy a boat for them. You can come up with all those ideas. That a phone bo hamne dina dimbale xale yi ñu mëna am gaal ñu dem napaji. So that way, so employ like ñaari xale wala nga directly, if you empower directly ñaari xale ñoñu sun liggéey ci secteur bobu nonu ñom tamit indirectly maybe they will employ several people. So by that way you see the rippling effect. So that way you should be able to create jobs. So I know the unemployment situation is very high in this country. And then this issue of 75,000, 100,000 jobs, I think a serious government should be able to do it. It shouldn't be a problem.
Now, Sen Mati mu ngi ñëw si just dugga and then ñu ngi soog a start, so I think ne naa ko laajte question, but then nañ dem just Modou indil ñu breaki promo gis-gis bi, and then ma am Sen Mati mu ñëw indil ñu promo gis-gis bi, and then ma am Sen Mati, and then ñu continuer waxtaan yi, then ñu dem si Dr. Ceesay. Modou nga jàppale ma si promo bi ñëw rek, and then ñu continuer waxtaan yi. Assalamualaikum mbokk yi di seetaan li nga xam ne mooy gis-gis waxtaane si li nga xam ne rek mooy yóbbu dëkk bi kanam.
The Constitution provides President can declare a state of emergency in 2 circumstances. Now I believe Gambia security is at risk for invasion. He has it right. Constitutional as it can last for 2 weeks.
Said da nga ñëw rek nga fekk ñu just ask question to Dr. Ceesay, and then Dr. Ceesay mu know about seen plan to create 75,000 jobs. But then said sa gis-gis about CA first. What exactly do you think the CA loolu la indi new to political arena bi? Is there any? And then you see 75,000 jobs you talk about. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, I mean di nuyu askan bi di dalal guy di dalal docteur you know di ko wish happy birthday suma teacher I think Citizen Alliance dafa ñëw at a time boo xam ne su ma gis-gis moo nekk ne dëkk bi dafa soxla woon some sort of a new kind of politics boo xam ne dafa waroon a nekk si dëkk bi. and then you're talking about a process time boo xam ne there was wide level of polarization boo xam ne mu ngi exist si dëkk bi, and then you had a party that talks about citizens coming together to change the decision of a country. And I think that has been a major feat boo xam ne mu ngi nekk si with Citizen Alliance. And of course one of the things tamit lu ma nekk di wax in terms of the modernization of Gambian politics, particularly around issues of media, billboard, those are issues yoo xam ne Citizen Alliance tamit initially we've seen Dr. Ford Lahu guy like he's all over the town, because that's also was something that was only mostly for the ruling party at that point. But the most interesting aspects you have the Citizen Alliance is talking about is also in terms of how do we take back this country, to put it in a way where it will benefit the young people, and it's a party that can align itself with the youth, because in this country the youth is the future. We're talking about 70% of the population, they are young people. Most of them lacking job, or the kind of jobs that they are having are not is not benefiting. So you have parties. Of course, most parties will claim to be that youth representative, but of course, when you look at it clearly, you see that Citizen Alliance has that kind of youth face, and it shows that it is a party that is here for the long run and is here for for the future. Nama de wax gaay tamit dama len dey togn all the time ne they are Doi 2.0 in terms of their, of course, leftist leaning, but of course more involvement in terms of the technology, because at this minute this country needs to integrate technology in our everyday life. And I think Citizen Alliance, when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to all these different issues, they've been positioning themselves to be that party that does not only talk about the human power, but also how do we integrate technology into the development trajectory of this country. And Giss at some point Doug was in Germany, and those things you can see as part of their policy programs, especially in agriculture. How do they mechanize it and all those things, which I think also is the kind of feature that is also required when it comes to mass or large scale production, and they're talking about that. But of course, the other issues, we talk about issues of housing. I see and they've been very like one party that they hold accountable in terms of the specific of what they want to do is Citizen Alliance. They're talking about 100,000 homes. They're talking about 75,000. These are issues you can quantify, issues that you can count and say, well, they say within 5 years they're going to create 100,000 homes. Did they create that 100,000 homes? You can be able to count those issues. And I think that is these are the additions you feel the party is bringing. But of course, being an opposition in a country where you have all political parties, and within a short period, you see how recognizable the party becomes. It shows that there have been a lot of work, And one other thing that I also like about their strategy, and I've been following them in terms of the door-to-door. Sometimes I see pictures of doctors eating with the communities. At some point, if you want to change the lives of people, you need to understand their reality. You need to accept those realities and try to see how best you can work with them to change that. And I see, and I see those kind of stuff with CA. Of course, they have a long way to go. They are new into the political scene. They have to learn the political culture the hard way, and I think they are also learning that at this minute. But it's a party that is here for the long.
So how about the 75,000 jobs you guys will create? Is that possible?
75,000 for me is even small. They, of course, what is the employment rate? A lot of Gambians don't have jobs. Today, just in my class, I was discussing with the students about that. Why is it that young university graduates are not going into fishing, for instance? But everybody was like, But there's a lot of jobs that need to be created. But we're not only talking about jobs just for the sake of jobs of 1,500. We're talking about, we need to talk about meaningful jobs. And I think 75,000 jobs is doable. And especially if you look at the sectors, we're talking about construction. How many, if we get into construction, how much of those jobs can that take from the 75,000? It could be a lot. If you invest in fishing, it could be a lot. I mean, 75,000 is doable.
Okay.
And it's necessary. And even for me, my number is now.
Okay.
You know, it needs to be increased to challenge them more.
We said 100,000 in fact. I don't know why Ansu is insisting on this.
Okay, well, 175 like is manifesto.
No,
So
on
I'm going to
our
base on
10-point plan, we said 100,000 jobs.
Okay. Now, Doc, then you're back. About 200,000 Gambians, directly or indirectly, you depend on the fishing sector, of course. And then you guys in the Gambia, they produce about 75,000 tons of fish. Gis nañ not long ago, DPSB, of course, PSB, gang ko suspend on, and then realize nañ, understand nañ ne there are a lot of vessels you have ne Chinese yaa ko moom dañ dee nekk ci géej bi di nappa illegally. But then musuñoo gis ñu yóbbu gaay court. What exactly, Doc, la CA pare pour def pour make sure ne ñu tackle this problem and then make sure ne GDP bu fishing sector bi de of course create from 8% dina mun a move up to 20. How?
Dañoo change regulation. Problème is regulation bi la nekk.
Mike.
Dañoo change regulation bi. Problème is regulation bi la nekk. Like wax nga ko. Soo demee si suñ water si tey. Because da nga war understand ne dëkk bu nekk. Sa territorial waters is 7 nautical miles. Mooy sa territorial waters. Si waters yi nii mooy sa border. In accordance with the UN conventional laws of the seas.
Okay.
But every day dañ la met extra 200 nautical miles. Lu ñëw exclusive economic zones.
Okay.
Any fish, any oil, anything of economic value. Seen boss. So ñu suñu tan nautical miles yi bala nga reach to the high seas. Bu nga am ne am na law freedom of navigation. Ñun ñoo ko moom.
Okay.
Are we using wisely? Yan regulations lañ am. Yan contracts lañ dee sign ak big players. For example, today am nañ a deal with Senegal ba they have unlimited access to our exclusive economic zone. In return of what? Training ñu ne ak 4% of every catch, every ton. Loolu lañ am foofu noonu. But not only with Senegal. Any country bi nga xam ne dafa ama Senegal an agreement. So Senegal close seen CC pour ñu mën a before breeding take place. Those countries have exclusive access to our waters.
Okay.
Look at the EU, 28 countries. Look at the Chinese.
Okay.
Look at the Spanish. So it means that we need to do regulation and make sure one, we empower our ñi nga xam ne ñooy police suñ territorial waters yi mooy di Navy. But also review all the contracts in JMOM, it's going to be in the national interest. Sanga man la wane mun nañoo create 20,000 jobs for the fishery sector. I'm talking about entire value chain. Nga ne we produce 75,000 tons. How many of these 75,000 stay in Gambia and how many leave? Imagine if all the fish produced in the suñ waters yi mu ñëw si dëkk bi ñaata jobs in terms of the logistics transportation from the seas to the fishing plants for ñoo processing fish bi. Ñaata jobs la moo create the processing plants you know. Some go to the supermarkets, some go to the fish market, some for export. Ñaata jobs la moo mën a create. What Gambia needs is a new industrial policy. There we ñun Gambia we create millions of jobs every year. Laaj ma si naka. Because most of the things we eat and we eat in this country is produced outside. Mayonnaise bu ñoo lekka is produced outside by some people.
Okay.
Ketchup bi, malo bi, everything, suñ tiles yi, paint, everything we need in this country that we consume is produced by young people outside in Senegal, in China, in India. Imagine if we are producing all these things and made nako industry.
Okay.
So we need a new industrial policy. Imagine te so sampe kër. Almost 80% of low fat def comes from outside. The paint, the tile, the corrugate, the nail, everything comes from outside. Luñ fi dee mooy hair bi ak suuf jenn even basal si bitel de jóge. Imagine if we are producing our own mayonnaise. That value chain mooy agro industry bi. Ñaata tomate moo dee waste si garden yi. Imagine ñuy def transportation bi. Ñaata la moo defee. In fact fàtte nañ beneen sector boo xam ne dafa produce jobs, the transportation sector. Look at what river transport is wasting. Imagine if you are river taxis going up and down the river, taking goods and service. Another jobs are more created the transportation sector. So the invalue 100,000 is even small. Because then because we wanted to err on the side of caution. We are 100% sure. If given the chance, we'll produce 100,000 clean jobs in this country.
But what is the problem with Chinese in the exploit here, of course, Sun Gate, and then gisuñ government bi the current one right now jëlaguñ benn step pour make sure that dañ ko cop. Why exactly? Why? What exactly? Is it because of
some corruption is there
kickback
as
or what?
evidence. Corruption as evidenced by the Banda case.
Okay.
As evidenced by Banja, as
yeah.
evidenced by Chinese nu ñoo violaté even the 9 nautical mile rule. Dafa am lu ñoo the 9 nautical mile mooy lan. Artisanal fishermen ñoo war a fish within that 9 nautical mile.
Okay.
But these Chinese, they come and violate it. Then could they encroach? But yeah, you said netisa because they are so powerful.
Okay.
So that's impunity. More than they happen because they know they get away with it. They know the swinlanti. Key wara implement and enforce the rules. Koko den ko de gender def ko sen pause.
Okay.
So what we need is enforcement, implementation and new regulation. A serious government bo xamne dafa make sure we jealously guard our marine resources because lu rek lañ am.
Okay, Lamin, so opinion about Doc Lumwani, about fishing sector.
About the fishing sector.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is one sector bo xamne I know come in terms of policy government bi ñom sen approach bi moy you let the Chinese, you let the Senegalese to ñu yëngu ci sun fishing bi. But a smarter approach would have been that sector it should be exclusively for Gambians. Empower Gambians to take charge of that sector. Well, it's all good, I mean, you can work with countries, you have your interest, ñom tam am sen interest, ngeen seet naka ngeen ko balance out, ku nekk jël lim moom. China, gis nañ ne China has been a very reliable partner of Gambia, I mean, likewise Senegal. So moo tax ba China dem dugga ci sun fishing sector bi, moo tax ba Senegal dem dugga ci fishing sector bi. So now this is one sector boo xam ne this sector alone can really mun naa téye sun economy bi in terms of jobs, in terms of Gambian GDP. GDP is very important in terms of Gambians getting employed in that sector. So that would require a lot of investment. Policy is very important. You have to have a policy in terms of how that sector operates.
Okay.
Then make sure you empower citizens. If you empower Gambians, they can take charge of that sector. Then all these things that are happening in terms of foreigners dominating, ñom ñu nekk fofu nonu ñom ñoy jël jën bi yépp I mean 90% bi yépp ñu export ko, maybe 10% rek ay dess ci diga bi.
Look at the fish meal factories.
Fish meal factories, yeah, because that's where they sell these fish to.
Okay.
So len ko jaay ñom dañ ko gëné fi. So lu ndaw rek ay dess. So mu ngi ré sun sector, sun fishing fisheries sector bi mu ngi am problem in terms of I mean sun nutritional needs yi sax mu ngi nekk problem. Léegi caalo bi sax I mean it's a problem pour nit it lekka caalo. Man ma nekkee xale sun maire yi caalo buñ dee isi daf dee duuf daf dee nekk caalo bu mag waaye léegi doo gis loolu caalo yëpp dañoo nekk lu ndaw. So that is a problem. So I mean xam nga ñun fii Gambia ñu bëri liñ foog ne loolu mooy some of these things duñ mus a jeex waaye jën mun naa jeex So you have to control that sector, and it's all government. Government be more make sure new whole sector be new do a comprehensive assessment of the sector. New whole, even if we are going to let foreigners to that sector, you have to do it in a way. It's going to be measured. It's going to be in a way because if you have these big fishing vessels, you have them fi ñu wara nappé they napp fo dañoo duga 9 nautical miles dañoo duga ci ñoo fo xamné gaal yu ndaw ñoo fa wara nekk. That is a problem.
Okay.
So I think the issue of government like a very good solid policy in terms of how that sector operates. The jobs moom mu ngi fa opportunity mu ngi fa pour nit ñi am fa liggéey.
Okay.
All kinds of jobs. All kinds of jobs. Industry, the entire value chain, people can be gainfully employed there.
Okay.
So that is how I see it. It's about the government making sure that sector you sanitize ko. I mean the regulation, policy regulation you you digger. I think that sector alone will be able to economy with
okay.
Okay,
Basamba, so opinion about this and then you move to sets.
I entirely blame the government for these issues in our waters. I think contracts with EU, with Senegal and other countries should be renegotiated. We have bad negotiators in our bad negotiators. I think the EU also took advantage of the Gambia at the time when our democracy was fragile.
Okay.
they signed a contract which was very bad for us. Have €1 million for a whole 5 years to take our fish from our waters. And how much money they make, we know. When you calculate, it was a bad negotiation for us. And I will entirely blame the government. It doesn't matter who was there at the time. But I'll also, of course, commend the government for taking the permanent secretary to court. In fact, right now he's in mile 2 for some of those dubious acts in depth. They caught him on camera, taking money from the Chinese. So, for me, it's also positive in the government be court right now mile 2. So, but then is he the only one involved? Why is the minister? Why are the people working in the ministry? Why? So dafa wone ne comme lu ñu wax ci corruption lu bari mu ngi have put ci government bi the central government the central person in the government baro yego ko, but it's happening.
Okay.
So if for example fishing is a come Dr. Mugawe, without the River Gambia is nothing. In fact, nobody will come here for tourism. The River Gambia is our biggest attraction. Look at China. You know what China is doing to our fish, what they do with our fish? They feed their pigs with our fish. What can we negotiate? Listen, we live in a very how to call it, it's a global village. Okay. We need each other. China, what can we negotiate with China? Okay, you know what, China, we can produce we can produce what you need here. We take our fish, you build the industry here, and then we supply them. Yeah. They will still take it. That's how you negotiate. But we could not negotiate. We want the fish. We don't even know what China is doing with the fish. China is taking this lubon lu yahu yeb dañ ko jënda. This motal mairie legi suñu jëlé fish su dé yahu na sax. They don't care because China will take that. Su lo xamna déna sax they take that new process ñu jël ko dugal ko ci container dem process ko. Dugal ko ci sen lifin. So we need to renegotiate those deals. After the impasse, after Barrow when President Barrow took over this government, there are in the first 2-3 days they were in a hurry. All of them want to jump into position. They were in a hurry negotiating with Senegal, their bad deals. Negotiating with China, bad deals. We really need to renegotiate. Any government, whether this government comes December 4, New Vinegar, they need to revisit those documents. They are very bad. And then look at how can we allow Senegal and their partners. In fact, we don't only have a deal with Senegal, but whoever Senegal has a deal with can also come to our waters and take what they want. And then amuñ doole. Mun nañu duga ñom sen lifi ñoo gëna am doole suñ bosi. And then look at the fishing sector, Ansu. Who do you see in this fishing sector? What is the policy of Minister of Fisheries for young people pour new harness the fish? For new leverage that our biggest attraction. What is the policy of the ministry? Who are they training? What's the policy? Where are the young people they're training? Do you know fishing is a big business? Dr. Jamona, I just told, he said he told his student, said, one student, why don't you venture into fishing? They were like looking at you like fishing. But there is a lot of money. I'm gal nga dugal ko 6 months. I know. But who is there? What is the policy? How many Gambians should we allow? Then you want a portion of, okay, we can allow only 5% of immigrants to go into our waters. 95% should be Gambian. Do we have that policy? We don't have it. Okay. And this is killing us because our swing waters alone can feed the whole country. I know someone support. I hate Barrow for one thing. There is no fish in the markets. And then we are taking this for granted. They cannot have, that's what they could afford. But now there is no fish in the market. What can they buy? Because so like in Gambia, either fish or meat on it. Chicken. Or chicken. So what are we eating? We are eating all this sick imported chicken in this country. Even our poultry sector, Senegal, they don't import chicken. We cannot even look at that. We cannot empower. And so the fishing industry is something that I really want us to look at and investigate. Journalists should go and find out what is happening in our waters. Okay, now, it is very bad and dangerous. And then young people are looking at that. What happened? Look at what happened in Sanya. Look at what happened in Sanya. The people are angry that other people are coming to our fish and our waters and taking all what belongs to us, and they are left with nothing. And that is a recipe for violence. We have to look at that properly. Okay, Sid, so opinion.
Yeah, I think narrative dëkk bi dafa yaakaar ne dëkk bi amul dara. And dëkk bi amul dara, amuñ natural resources. I mean, even this morning with political economy we were discussing that the Gambia was an improbable nation. Ne amul dara. Parce que gisuñ fi diamond, gisuñ fi oil, gisuñ fi yeneen other stuff. But this country is I mean, 80 kilometer coastline ku am 80 kilometer coastline dëkk boobu ndax ñàkk na nga am river boo xam ne ñu ngi wax ne is the most navigable river in this Africa boo xam ne half of that river is also fresh water ndax dëkk boobu ñàkk na nga am laan yoo xam ne is mun nga see def lu la ne mun nga see ji mun nga see béy ndax dëkk boobu ñàkk na lu nekk fii nii moo nekk benn government nekkuñ di xalaat lan lañ am and secondly people are kind of confused xaw ma dañ leen na ne dëkk bi amul dara soo ku nekk taxaw di xaar ñuy xelaat China wala ñuy xelaat yeneen country pour ñu ñëw isil xaalis li ñoo may and at the end of the day what they are giving us they are taking from our own natural resources man yi mooma dee naxari in this country and I think ne what needs to be done in this country moo nekk well doc wax na ko and all of those I mean ñoom Lamin ak Basamba there's need to be for a proper regulation boo xam ne moo war a nekk fii nii so that we can take charge dëkka su taxee ñu ne dëkka dafa war a am koom-koomam dëkk boo xam ne si ñaan la dëkk rek lan moo nekk the essence of that dëkk yu fekkee yaa ngi am the resources and everything is there yaa ngi am youthful population boo xam ne mun nga leen a train and they are very trainable moo xam ne mun nañoo dugg si géej bi di nappa tey navy bi ñu ngi am military boo xam ne yeneen dañoo wax ne sa nii diwuñ lifin bi ñu ngi amee navy bi amul matériel proper matériel sax pour mu mun a jàppa people ñoo xam ne they are stealing our resources and yet suñ jàppee ñuñ mun a jàppa next minute ñu ñëw benn politician or some corrupt guy in the government try to take bribe from the people ñoo xam ne ñu ngi leen jàppa and at the end of the day dëkk bi yëpp ñaaka on that aspect yi ñoo nekk issues yoo xam ne ñu ngi affect the fishing sector but then the other issue moo nekk di perception mindset nit yi because ñu ñëpp dañ foog ne foog nga sol suit taay nga toog si biir office bi dëkk loolu du ko yóbbu what needs to move this country moo nekk nit yi dugga tilimal seen boppa si géej gi am fa dara and then so that mun nañ koo defen because gars yi wax nañ ko fi tamit fishing agriculture everything loo xam ne ñu ngi ko def fii nii value chain moo fa nekk yaa ngay jógee si géej bi essence ngay use nit ñoo fa nekk gaal ngay use gaal bi am na ku koo defar essence bi am na ku koo jaay I mean ndox boo soxla lekka boo soxla am na ku koo jaay next minute bi yaa ngi bëgg a transport fii tey obbi soo demee fu obbi kecca ak yeneen la gaay nekk di lekka they cannot even access fresh food and dëkk bu ndaw bu mel ni Gambia fii nii for instance waaye loolu moo nekk questions yoo xam ne dañ ko war a defee and a serious government needs to focus on how do we reclaim our natural resources fii affaire yeneen da nga dee wax ñu naan la ay xénophobie ak yeneen ak alali dëkk la and dëkk bi moo ko moom seen dëkk bi nit yi dañ si war a benefit and that's what that is what is important and loolu lañ war a def because at the end of the day ñu ngi train nit yi fii nii ñu ngi si university bi next minute xamuñ naka la xale yi di amee job sax in the next place and loolu noonu what is going to create it's going to create problems and people need to start emphasizing mais I mean any government ku mu fi munta nekk loo xam ne dafa belongs to this country and they need to take care of that protect ko pour nekkut ñun pour suñ next generation bi ñun ñëpp ñu ngi am xale léegi but what's going to happen to them su gars yi magee amuñ fi dara si dëkk bi what they going to do and these are issues yoo xam ne politics need to address yi nekkul ne ñun suñ maas yi wax rek la ñoo def waaye this is what policy and politics need to address and I think that's the right way to go.
Okay now Doc nañ ñëw now foreign policy of course because we've seen we know for a fact ne Gambia dañu am a very fragile democracy and then ñu ngi gis Essa Faal and then many candidates am na ñoo xam ne they are not in support of economic pour gars yi war a nekk si dëkk bi or continuer di fi nekk and then gis nañ gars yi nga provide security to the president ñu ngi gis si sa manifesto bi maa ngi ko check and then gis nañ sa point one focus bi in terms of foreign policy ne Senegal is key or somehow very important ne ñoom ngeen di start with and then other countries why Senegal?
Well, because of geopolitics ak geoproximity. Société Gambia geographically we are really inside Senegal. It's one nation, two states. The Senegal and Gambia, we speak the same languages, we eat the same food, the same religion, the same tribes, the same yere, everything is the same. The only difference is nyatala. Law, administration, language. Administration, if you look at the Senegalese state, you administer a Gambian state, that's different. If you look at law, that's different. If you look at the language, that's different because of a colonial legacy. When the British came, they were only interested in the river and how far they could navigate, you create Gambia. The French came and took the rest. That's the only difference. But today, Gambia and Senegal should go for deeper integration. And if Africa is to have a kind of a supranational institution, like EU, where policies integrate, Senegambia la started. The two peoples they have the same challenges: environment, climate change. The farmer Buneka Casamas challenge be more face in terms of climate change. The farmer Gambia similar more face. arms trade, porous borders, drugs, everything is the same. Security threats, everything is the same. Kon Gambia Senegal tey war nañu mën a work together to have common policies in certain sectors. Even energy. Energy is not political. Gambia Senegal war nañu mën a work together to shoot for green energy together. Because when you combine these two economies together, it's big. Senegal is about 13 million people, around 14 million people. Gambia is about 2.5. It's a big market. So foog ñu mën a work, it pains me tey. su ma dee dem Sénégal moo war a waste time in Karang and Amdallah pour cross. Et puis su ma duggee Karang foo ma change SIM card. Look, Europe. doo jógee UK nga dem Belgium du dee change SIM card. soo toolee rek mu dem mu roaming straight away doo fay dara butul zero. But mos ma demee Karang foog ma change SIM card jënd orange dugal ko foofu noonu. nga seet proximité bi foog ma dem di wone passport ak non Gambia ak Sénégal has to sit as a state ñu xam ne it's about the people nit ñi. They have common challenges, security threats, climate change, and other challenges. Naka la ñu work together, energy, poverty. Naka la ñu work together at that level. Te man ma do wane sama no wax sit keroog and also bu the I think the Senegalo-Gambian Secretariat. Musama visit. Man ko there should have been today a Center for Senegambian Studies at UTG and Cheikh Anta Diop. Ñi nga xam ne seen main purpose is to research how do we promote Senegambian integration at the state level. ñooñu mooy seen liggéey di gestu rek loolu noonu. Naka la ñu mën a amee common policies. Look at the EU tey. EU naka la started with the EU steel and coal industry. They started working those industry. Xoolal tey EU is the supranational elaborate boo xam ne tey UK génn na fa because of Brexit. But tey the only thing lu ñu mën a promote mooy common EU culture. Understand? But apart from that, immigration. So the Schengen visa thing, Germany, you can go anywhere in Europe without Kendula check. When it comes to agriculture, you have a common agricultural policy, a common trade policy. You name it because the interest of their people. Forget politics aside. So for Gambia, Senegal, what I'm gonna talk at that level, you talk as equal partners. Amud Mak, Amud Halal, Amud Lono. Gambia send tough negotiators. Senegal is a tough negotiators. Then you ligay. But we need to also promote Senegambian relationships. Bu si Guinea-Bissau. Tey Gambia Senegal we don't trust each other. Suñ toogee di even meeting sa pour négocier sa da nga gis that distrust. War nañu mën a create a kind of an Erasmus system boo xam ne mu nekk Europe. Anybody could jaal school Gambia am nga an option to go to Senegal and spend 6 months there to learn French and understand Senegalese society, understand Senegalese politics, understand Senegalese administration and Guinea-Bissau so that later on soo leen toogee si table bi they negotiate already man understand na Senegal how they think, what's their mindset, what's their governance system. Guinea-Bissau what will happen? There's distrust. Am suñ toogee rek nga soo leen toogee negotiate mu start a distrust rek do them. Kenn moo ne we are always at the losing side because we don't send tough negotiators to look at interest of
now Doc see lan mooy seen stand towards economic quickly and then
economic was supposed to be a stabilization force. Provided that the transition was successful. But the transition failed. The security sector reform was supposed to be the bedroom nga ne economic foofu la war a ñibbee. But right now economic ñun suñ stance mooy economic has to go and we have to hand over security to Gambian forces. But that can be done at the back of what they call an exit strategy. Don't want to uproot economic terrain and them no sisters. Anybody who has no how security. There should an exit strategy either 18 months or 12 months plan bomb them when exit strategy and hand over to our security forces. Because once you remove them, then I leave a vacuum. And you don't know what that vacuum is going to be. So anybody could understand security within the African context, within a post-dictator society, they understand that there should be an exit strategy. Okay, 12 months. Then economic start the pull one by one. You stand hand over to our security one by one. So that the transition from economic presence to not 2 hours is smooth. While so talking and the just uproot, economic fini just balance one guinea. Then create a massive problem.
Doc, final question on foreign policy. Right now, so don't see in government. So any forge partnership, ban area really, let's say in Europe them or Asia or Arab world, which area really any target?
Well, everywhere. We live in a global world. Every country, the farm what they call a comparative advantage. The farm even though now countries in the south tend to more focusing towards South-South cooperation and see it university. But I think also don't want to gain the West as partners. Don't want to gain Arab world as partners and the US as partners. Even Russia and China as partners. So that's how the world works. So danga set sa interest, danga hold okay exactly each decade. What can Pakistan bring to Gambia? what can Malaysia bring, what can China bring, what can Dubai, what can Qatar bring. So da nga war a be very smart nga create a foreign policy. That is what is lacking. Gambia lacks a foreign policy, a coherent foreign policy. Gambia amu ko. Dañ nekk di lambaatu rek. We need to sit down and bring, you see, in other countries, Turkey for example, how can they create foreign policy? The university professors, they create their foreign policy. Because then they understand every decade, lala am what can it offer. But every decade also, lala ko muna pitch, lala ko muna jai. So am ko. But gama mo no, danga gis guy di travel rek fu nekk tey dem nañ fii dem nañ fii sign MOU du je MOU ñoo di gada dos. We don't get anything out of it. But we need to first and foremost get a foreign policy. And that foreign policy, do not put it in blanket ne fifi no. Danga check every day kana ko approach it. China. So say there's a foreign policy for Africa is very unique. Each African country has a foreign policy towards China. The Gambia sem towards China different Senegal, but China dafa whole Africa. Mu ham lum soxla ci Afrique ak naka la mo amé mu create policy te mu ko am in Sudan, in Kenya, in Zambia, in Gambia, in Bissau, other places. Ñu ko because lo moy sen foreign policy. Ñun nak amuñ foreign policy te Gambia. Dañu lambaté so amute foreign policy, it means ya ngeen navigate bo xamné xamulo sa foy dem. Da nga nekk di la nit ki da nga war a xam sa jubluwaay da nga war a xam man lan laay mën a am si Qatar lan la Qatar am lu ma see mën a am pour Gambia ba lan la Qatar soxla li nga mën am naa ko te mën naa ko koo jaay lan laa mën a am si Russia naka laa ko amee lan la Russia soxla si man pour ma mun ko koo jox America the same thing, India the same thing, Pakistan the same thing, Brazil the same thing, and so on and so forth. But suñ amutee loolu but even Senegal, even Mali, even Guinea-Bissau, we need to also look. Foreign policy is only about West. No. What about foreign policy within the African continent? What can we do with Guinea-Bissau, with Mali, with Burkina Faso, with Ivory, for example, Senegal? But first, the bedrock is foreign policy. And Masi ñom city ñoo wara dimbele ñu come up with Gambia's foreign policy community in the decade defé.
Okay now Doc si kanam dinañ ñëw and then you talk about IEC and then tamit dinañ wax si Center for Policy and then Research ak strategic studies sen survey bu gaay def not long ago ñu faram fàccal ko but then Lamin Jai sa opinion about this about foreign policy doctor not doctor but then CA to be specific
foreign policy CA bi I think doctor wax na yëpp in terms of ñoom nuñ nekk di xalaatee ñoom their foreign policy is going to be based on Gambia first the interest of the Gambia te ñoom they are not going to be picky ñoom dañoo xool foo xam ne Gambia dina ci am interest moom ni mu ko waxee and that is exactly what is in their manifesto wherever Gambia can have something ñoom they don't mind they are ready to work with any country and any nation because liñ gis foreign policy naka la ñëwee
but the point of Senegal is it important
the point of Senegal is very important because look Senegal and Gambia ñun ñëpp benn leen comme ni mu ko waxee these are the three things yoo xam ne ñoo tax suñ relationship bi mu xaw a am jafe-jafe tuuti the issue of language we don't speak the same language ñun angale la ñoo laaka ñoom French la ñoo laaka that is a very big issue the issue of law ñun suñ system bi we have the British law ñoom they don't have that they have the French law loolu lañ am then the other issue is administration nu ñooy dugalee seen doxalee seen institutions yi is very different ak niñ ko dee doxalee moo tax sax the issue of the intervention force economic I mean ñoom di weedee seen police bi ak seen army bi ak seen military bi seen security bi niñ ko dee structure ak ci loi yuñ dee dox is very different ak ñun nuñ ko dee doxalee fii so loolu yëpp mu ngi fa soo gisee nag Sénégal mu war a jël di lead role bi ci economic rôle economic bi because of course proximity bi di geopolitics bi moo tax loolu because Gambia if you look at the proximity Gambia ak Senegal this is the only the most convenient soo ko naree xool out of all the nations kan moo war a lead that mission moo tax ñu jokko Senegal but in terms of laaka bi ak ñoom nu ñooy doxalee that is why they are saying okay police mission lañ ko transform after the end of this year dañ ko turn into a police mission but if you turn it into a police mission it's different ñun suñ police administration bi ak police administration of a French country is very different. It's very, very different.
Okay.
So those are issues we have to address.
Okay.
But in terms of the economic and CA, they have to go. Why? I'm not one, and I think all Gambians economic dafa dem. But it has to be based on a strategy.
Okay.
ñepp liñ bëgg moy economic ñibi because I mean they've gone past their sell by date. ñom liñ leen soxla won moy ñu gëné fi ya jame ñu stabilize and then you am sun transition bi jeex gaay ñibi. But you have to base it on something. Okay. First you have to whether some reforms you bëgg def because you are saying ne ñi sun ñëwé da nga reform security bi di nga gis ne ñi sun dafa nek a smooth transition, a smooth exit. Economic soon gain automatically need a new jail. But right now we don't have that. This government has not created that yet. That condition, that situation, economic problem. So, but the issue of economic mugena, and that is what CS position is. I think Lulu position in economic the for them. But it has to be based on a strategy, on an exit strategy, and a good one.
Okay, Basama's opinion about this, and then you move to say.
It pains my heart that a serious country that gained independence 55 years later, not 56 years, that among foreign policy, boo xam ne dañ ko design ñu teg ne lii la ñu war a liggéey amuñ ko until now. You know when they started, who started writing the government foreign policy? Mooy Mr. Tal, mooy Sal Tal, papam was Minister of Foreign Affairs. After that, dafa door di ko start parewut sax ba pare implement lu ñu bind sax implement until today. We have the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We don't have a foreign policy guide boo xam ne boobu la ñu war a use ne lii la ñoo toppa. And then foreign policy is the bedrock of our governance. Dafa mel ni nga ne léegi ñu ñoo waxee about our River Gambia. River Gambia moo def Gambia. River Gambia moo tax Gambia was strategic because of River Gambia. Slavery was remunerative for the slave master because of the River Gambia. Okay. That's how foreign policy. That's how important it should be for us. And now, what are we doing? We don't even know how to gain from our closest neighbor, Senegal. Senegal has a population of 15 million. We can be having an excess of food to an extent of selling to Senegal. We don't have to import anything. Okay. What is the foreign policy? If you look at Africa, we have a bad foreign policy. That's why we're looking at the Africa Free Trade Agreement. Within Africa, our business within Africa, we do our business is about 14%. And our relationship with Europe is about 32%. Imagine. And that 32% is just one way because European, they are sending all the import, everything from Lunyo consume is from Europe. Okay. That's how bad our foreign policy is as Africans, and as Gambia is also a big player in that. If you look at Iran and America, same problem with foreign policy. Look at America. America has the biggest oil reserve in the world, and Amun oil, because their foreign policy is right. Because they know that they needed something, a leverage to rule the world. Okay. But what leverage do we have? Foreign policy. Gambia is a small country. Gambia, we could have everything here. Gambia, we can have bank of convenience here. We can have tourism. When if our foreign policy was right, we would have negotiated what. It's about foreign policy because a fishery problem is about foreign policy because we cannot negotiate very well. Who are the people negotiating for Gambia? When Africans go to a table, or when we go to a table with these Chinese and with these white people, we just tell them, where do I sign? We don't even read the books. We don't even know what is inside when you're signing. When you sign it, listen, when we are signing that deal with Senegal, where but before the Senegal action partnership, more Senegal, then all the European countries, 27 Sanjan countries, they are all taken from our rivers because Senegal, they have a deal with those people. Okay. If Senegal, those people will come and take from order because Senegal will write Senegal and our partners, and we don't even know what the partner mean. The partners mean the other people that are taken from Senegal. We just want to sign. We just, where do we sign? And after that we come, we are making our people poor. A lot of people, they are depending on us. They're choosing this government. They're choosing a government for us to change their life. And most of that is in our foreign policy, Ansu. Malawa lo hamne dafa made this hall because foreign policy bi fala Gambia ni fala ñu wara dundé because ñu li ñoo defar li ñoo am fi dañ ko jaay comme suñ tourisme bi. maybe such foreign policy could have been better. Come Dr. Nkowahe, we are attracting 100,000 tourists, 150. We could attract about 1 million tourists. Because why we could not? Because our foreign policy on tourism, what is it? Do we even have a guide? Do we even have a strategy? How do we get 1 million tourists? We don't have it. So our foreign policy, we don't even have a foreign policy guide. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, this is how they're supposed to work. I tell you something. One of the ambassadors, some of the ambassadors, you ask them, who do they report to? They tell you, I report to the president. Why should the ambassador be reporting to the president? You have the permanent secretary that you should report to. He's a boss. They don't even know who they should report to. These are problems in this country. And we don't care who are our friends and who is not our friends. Things are wrong in this country. The government need to understand that the right people need to be in the right place. Dr. Logo, the university professors, they know they talk to design a foreign policy for our country. We never had a situation where we ask our university professors, we need to have this need to be instituted a long time ago, where we have professors sitting and say, how can Gambia earn from Senegal? How can we earn from Guinea-Bissau? How can we earn from our neighbors? How can we earn from Europeans? How can we earn from China? But instead, they are taken from us, and we have a lot to offer.
Okay.
Because we don't have a foreign policy guide, we don't have a foreign policy bohamne, it can help us to gain a meaningful economic gain for our country, for our people. And that is something that we need to talk about. That is something that we need to look at. Okay. It's terrible, Ansu.
Okay, set opinion about this and then you move to talk.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, sometimes somebody compare, and Ben and time, I'm not going to like, you know, can more of the mentor in this country. Like, who do you look up to? For nga gis deka bi mu muna dem man at this minute I look at the first people that were in government, ñom Sadoda Kairaba Jawara and others, and how they were able to define suñ foreign policy bi in a sense, because you know I mentioned here ne ñun buñ amé independence in 1965 dañu waxone this country is an improbable nation, deka bi du survive. But what these people were able to do, send two main issues, Monaco one, the survival of the state, and that is the economic, but also our relationship with the rest of the world, because that was also critical in ensuring bena am nañ recognition, because so they get foreign policy, you are talking about recognition, benen dikay recognize nañ la, and I think that has been there. And dama day wax ne ñun deka bu ndaw len in terms of size, waaye ne ko nit yu ndaw, and because ñun ñu bari tay xamuñ ban role la Gambia play in Africa rek wala globally. During the Iranian-Iraq war, Gambia was one of the leading negotiators. Today, you talk one of the economic, you know, you talk about ECOMO. Gambia negotiation was happening here. I mean, we have been playing very important role in global politics. But especially after the 1994, you know, such situation and setting within the global context of a dialogue now, and those are things you have never revive. Okay. And then raising the issue of you know, Senegambia. I will say it Senegambia, because Senegal and Gambia, as doctor said, is a, you know, we are condemned to coexist. It's like my neighbor. Because our situation is like fixed, it's natural. Okay. And it's the same. People, you know, I mean, and if you look at it, ñu nekk ci town yi, ñu nekk Dakar, ñu nekk up bi fi urban, you know, Banjul fii nii, ñu nekk di am des differences wala the misconception. But today our farmers, some will leave Gambia and then go and sell their produce in Senegal, because Senegal is paying better. Or some of Senegalese will come back to Gambia and then pay those things. Why not, you know, you sit together, you work out strategy bo xamne everybody benefit. But su fekkee dañ ñëk di pousser wante because kii ne ma ëpp kii ne ma gën a tuuti, ñu bëgg a integrate, those will create problems. And you know, a country is a sovereign country first, but I think there needs to be strategies bo xamne they need to work on that. And Doc's proposal, you see, in many societies, what drives society more is these academic institutions. Because these are, we don't care like what the politicians are saying. We are more interested in ideas you can advance. And what we, of course, politics, but at the end of the day, what is important, Monica, you strategically, and we speak freely among ourselves, and then those are the issues we can sit and advise our governments to see how best they can, you know, strategize properly so that the people can benefit. And having a Senegambian institution, I think, would be a good step. Even the multilateral corporations, the multilateral organizations, they need to have those kind of institutions. AU, ECOWAS, you know, having those kind of establishments. You have to study the situation of society. I mean, of the continent, of the sub-region. Advise government. But if academic talk about things, you label opposition, I mean, just waste time. They waste time too much. And those are the issues you have that they frustrate. But then the issue of foreign policy, you know, and I entirely agree. ñun we are not here man dama bëgg a Gambia mu nekk an non-aligned ñun we are a small state and small state mun naa nekk xarit ku nekk we are not threat to anybody ñun we are not what economic or military power la ñoo jéem a use against anybody what we need to be is to be friends with everybody tey su ñëw ñu naan ñu one China policy why ñun Gambia has been a country boo xam ne dafa yàgg a support liberation movements and I think ne Gambia needs to continue to that to do that tey ñu ngi wax affaire Western Sahara nobody talk about that Western Sahara is still under Moroccan domination and these are countries yoo xam ne suñ previous governments they were talking about the need to liberate them because they are under colonial domination and we existed and we got support to do those kind of stuff tey ñu ngi wax affaire Taiwan yoo xam ne they have contributed a lot in this country tey ñu ngi ñëw di force with one China policy why should a country dictate somebody else as who your friends or who your friends should not be
exactly
I mean, as a small country, we need to dictate our way. Ne kubuga neka harit ak ñun we need, but what that requires, mo neka ñu xam naka la ñoo xelaatee, take our resources, own our resources, ñu use our resources, so that we will not depend on people. Because while we are saying one China policy, su China waxee dara rek ñu commencé di jooy di jéem a ñaan, because we are expecting monies yoo xam ne mu ngi jógee foofu yoo xam ne mën nañ koo liggéeyal suñu bopp. Sometimes what determine foreign policy mooy how willing you are able to address your domestic policies.
Okay.
You know, if you have a strong domestic policy, strong employment, you know, people earning good living, I mean, you don't care about what people think about outside. You need to do force what comes mo nekk sa nit la mo nekk sa interest, and at the end of the day you pursue that.
Okay.
Why would we depend on EU for funding at 1 billion you nekk foofu di celebrate, for instance? Mo yooyu ñoo ma dee naxari. You know, and sometimes, you know, sometimes like a country need to be a country.
Okay. So it's like a country.
I mean, it's a country, but I mean, sometimes we need to be serious.
Okay, sir. Okay. Now from nekk ni dañoo allow guys ni ñëw ñu pass ñu chop because Mr. Njie one of the yakamti affaire mo basamba. Dañuy yakamti affaire yi. So Zayn mën nañoo dugal and then ñu pass ñu mëna dugal dara ci biir bi is very important. And then ñu ngi thank really Fatou Camara of Fatou Network ak tamit Haruna Drame of Paradise because programme bi daf day ñëw on Fatou Network 7:30 Fridays and then ñu indi ko Paradise TV 10:30 PM. Tey mu ngeen ko seetaan foofu si kanam. So doc nañ ñëw in the area of IEC because ñu ngi gis just tey yaa ngi am press conference and before loolu noonu ñu gis ne dañ leen disqualify on ngeen dem court ngeen win IEC and then tey to some point yaa ngi mention Sambuja of IEC. Doc, lan moo nekk the main problem? Da nga foog ne lii is a political sabotage or is it ne dañ leen gis CA as a threat? There are internally, within IEC, there are folks yoo xam ne ñu ngi probably in or supporting other political parties, even though we know ne ñoom dañu war a nekk referee in this case. Is it ne loolu moo am ne there are folks yoo xam ne ñu ngi within party bi within IEC internally and then dañ gis somehow see a threat like maybe in Brikama or other areas or regions moo tax lii mu am or lii ndax political sabotage la. What exactly problem bi nga explain ñu ko into detail. What exactly moo indi lii yëpp Doc?
Incompetence and lack of capacity.
Okay.
ñëpp xam nañ ne ñu ñëpp fii lañ nekk.
Okay.
IEC we are banking on a paper ballot. So they are registering parties en masse. When am 18 political parties and so many independent candidates. Then you ballot system when you have the marble and the draw. They don't want to accommodate for many candidates. Logistically it becomes a nightmare logistically.
Doc, mun nga start again because
lack of capacity and incompetence moo fa nekk. Because ñu xam nañ ne IEC from the onset. You don't expect that there was going to be a new electoral act. And that electoral act, we are going to shift away from marble and the drum to paper balloting, which can accommodate many candidates. So I see a lot of political parties. And swing system also makes it easy for independent candidates to register to run for office. But when it wasn't possible for the paper balloting system, you want to continue with the marble and the drum, it became a logistical nightmare for IEC to really conduct elections with so many actors in the field, logistically, because we have 1,555 polling stations. Imagine ngam 20 candidates, lolo nyata drums la, and nyata marble la, nyata polling officers la, nyata presiding officers la, nyata returning officers la. It's logistical nightmare. So lolo mota buñ toge ñu hol lolo, they had, instead of coming with the policy of inclusion, as provided for by the constitution that every Gambian has a right to run for office and to vote, they came with a policy of exclusion. Then you find the smallest fault, even where they violate your constitutional right to count you out. Now, you then submit our nomination papers in line with IEC requirements. And the law, section 47(3) of the Electoral Act, more one. So we can need to do nomination papers, and there's a defect or mutut. It is by law required by IEC. Put you notify before nomination closes. Nelane that waji. Some nomination paper, if I'm defect or something is missing, can I rectify? Bala nomination, no. They went straight to disqualification. Bulol happen and Giss our rights were violated. You can, I mean, the most important thing to run for office mostly is a constitutional requirement. Once you meet those ones, the rest, the statutes, for example, the electoral laws, those ones, munun ko use to whipla pour ñu disqualify la to run for office. When you send our rights were violated, IEC following due process, following their own law, they violated their own law electoral act. Silañ dem si court si. And luñ send to si court si lola court si dogal ne IEC following procedures, following their own electoral laws pour gis ne two things lañ defut. Nit ñu wara notify defuñ ko nonu. They were supposed to fill a form called form 3, notify just ñu duplicates before nomination defuñ lolu. But also notify ñu pour wañu ne there are defects in your nomination papers calling and rectify ko. Then ñepp xam nañ ne court si luñu rule moy ne IEC did not act in accordance with their own electoral act. And then court be joxe ruling ne they should let us complete the nomination, and when that happens they should allow us to run.
Okay, now Doc from nekani there are, I know, lots of CA supporters. You have ne definitely dinañ bëgg xam whether CA dañoo stand neutral, duñ support or endorse any political party, or is it that there is another plan? As in, they can book support. If there is any, please tell us. I think that is important.
No, there is no plan yet. As we speak, among Ben plan to endorse anybody or to form an alliance with anybody. As we speak right now, so focus is to make sure we get redress from the courts, but also ensure we pursue, and so that IEC is reformed.
Okay.
In fact, that should have been one of the first things we should have done with New Gambia, to reform that IEC.
Okay.
We failed.
Okay.
To bring the new laws, we failed. So ñun right now mooy suñ fight to make sure that justice must serve. There is a court order. IEC ñu ngi in contempt of that court order. ñu ngi ñu bañ a still allow pour ñu run using certain technicalities. So which means that ñun dañoo make we post to still redress in we trust the system.
Okay.
We trust the justice system. Dañoo pursue loolu noonu ba pare ñu gis ne we fight to ensure that IEC is reformed.
Now in a case, Doc, like in a case, let's say IEC guy just delay things and then things work out fine for you guys, pour ngeen war a mën a run, what will happen? Lan ngeen di jël? Lan mooy seen final decision as in towards this problem?
Like I said, we go to the courts. The courts will decide. Because obviously foofu rek mënul la ñu mën a am redress.
Okay.
And right now, to be honest, it's too late for us to run.
Okay.
IEC, like I said, this is premeditated. Amuñ capacity bi.
Okay.
They don't have the capacity
to
accommodate new candidates. So ñun xam nañ loolu léegi.
Okay, but you've mentioned Sambuja. I think it's important pour ñu xam why nga mention Sambuja. Yaa ngi mention Sambuja sa press conference bi. Yaa ngi ko stress a lot. I mean stress, yaa ngi mention name bi a lot. Why exactly? Lan moo tax?
Because of experience bu ñu am ak moom la. At the IEC there. Bu ñu invited, the way he was talking to us, nu mu doon behavior, and the evidence we have from what the internal workings of the IEC, xam nañ ne he's the one behind this. And I'm gonna say it here, du ma ragal pour ko fen. He decides. He is running that institution like moom moo ko moom, and he doesn't own it. He has to follow laws. IEC is an institution created by an act of parliament. Ñun ñoo ko moom, ñun ñoo dee fay tax. We pay their salary. We pay for their vehicles. We pay for their fuel. So therefore, dafa war a respect the Gambian people. Dafa war a make sure mu def jobam. And not only IEC, every institution bu nekk Gambia, serving the people, they want to serve the people in accordance with the law.
Okay.
So nobody owns nobody in this country. Nobody owns our institutions.
Okay.
Dañ la fa def pour nga liggéey, so da nga war a liggéey. So experience bu ñu am foofu noonu moo bon. The way they are going about doing things now is very clear. It's spite and vindictiveness.
Okay.
They have an agenda against CA, and that's very clear.
Okay, now, Doc, balaa maa ñëw sama panelist yi, ñun kenn ne ko di ko ñaan, but then there are a lot of people yoo xam ne ñu ngi really worry about political climate right now, and then ñeneen yaa ngi wax ne likely maybe impasse am. Not really sure. I mean, Doc, yow la nga foog, do you think ne loolu mun naa am? For the fact ne 2016 am nañ ko, but that was Jammeh, but now amuñ Jammeh, we have Barrow, ñun Lawyer Darboe, and all of these people yoo xam ne somehow liggéey nañ together. Gis nga loolu?
That depends on IEC how best they can pay attention to detail. like I said, this is a high stakes election. Political careers are at stake.
Okay.
The future of political parties are at stake. So it's not a joke election, but also it's happening within a context which is very fragile and very volatile and very polarized.
Okay.
Having an elections in a quasi-democratic system like under Jammeh, where the institutions are weak, but there's a strong man who can strengthen those institutions, is different from having an election in a fragile democracy, where the context is fragile, where institutions are weak. The thing that was supposed to ensure that these elections are carried out within that strong context was the reforms, the new legal framework, none, zero. No new constitution, no new electoral law. So context will remain the same, dafa change, sorry, but also the laws, the framework is the same, that are changing.
Okay.
So IEC has to pay attention to detail and make sure that they make no mistake.
Okay.
And make sure that the people they are going to employ or to draft as polling officers, that people who are experienced and people who don't take things for granted. Because any slight mistake can lead to one party, a losing party, saying that you don't accept results.
Okay.
So now the referee might decide how peaceful this election is going to be.
Okay, Lamin's opinion about this whole thing, I mean the whole problem with IEC, and then you know to Basamba, then move to Set.
Yes, IEC, man all along, IEC, the all along defend. Man, for him, very IEC, especially 2016, you bury the IEC, it's an incompetent IEC, then def mistake, motor impasse, and all of that. But man, I defended the institution, and then I thought that these are people, you know, they are serious about the job that they are doing. But on the whole, they are not. This election cycle, there were, I mean, people had their hopes. Okay, they are experienced. Maybe a few people moving here and there. Male Ginana, then you elevate ko. Joe, a man of integrity. Then you have Sambuja Yaga of Fofuno, Pabi. Pabi Hamden the Margaret now, I knew lieutenant Tami, Nyoko de Jimbale. But until this nomination be a problem, but Bala nomination be a sign. Ki Ibrahim Tabora Mane, deliberately, Ki what a register, guy deliberately, guy they play games on him, you yaha political, Nangun ko register. But I thought, okay, this is just a small minor issue. Along the way, ki party MB because koku neka ku nit ku am jama bu dem court mu ne okay gaya mi ne nañ leen ko bay nañ leen bay rek suñ ñu register wut sax we can go and do it independent. You know, they didn't raise any issues over IEC nañ leen don treated. But to the nomination, yes, man, I think I wrote a piece about this. But nomination be a lot of people ñep xam nañ ne yes IEC all along we are not prepared wuñ seen boppa in terms of ñu wara jël ballot paper bi lañ ñom loolu lañ bëgg. This is what they want because they knew ne drum bi marble bi dafa indi problem. They did not want that 20 plus candidates wara taxaw nga wara use a marble drum system. Loolu is going to be a nightmare logistically. Millions xaalis bi sa lu ci dugg dafa bari trop. Millions and millions of dollars. Where are they going to get that money from? Pa bi mota all along so xolé all the inter-party whatever all the meetings and everything pa bi mom def dey siisu mu ne ballot paper. But then you have to change the law to be able to have the ballot paper because law bi mo wax marble lañ wara use. So bëggé change to another thing, the law has to be clear on that.
Okay.
But we could not get all of that. Ben wara eager because time doesn't wait for anybody because all along IEC was struggling. Diaspora bi bëgg vote but then IEC mënuñ la na créer dara because loi bi tam négo fa IEC mënuñ la na créer that opportunity pour ñom tam ñu mëna register ñu vote. Then coming down to the nomination 26 people ñoo gëna ñu né dañoo taxaw. IEC xam nañ ne clearly they cannot handle it. ñom xam nañ ko. So the issue of disqualifying people at such rate was always bound to happen. They were looking at every silly mistake because all along bala guy did disqualify ñi people what we are talking about, okay, citizenship nga gis ñom Dr. Daw dem ci relinquish citizenship student because these are what people we are looking at. But IEC xam na dañ ne tok leen fofu ñun we have an idea as to naka lañ la na disqualify. Moy these minor silly errors. Okay, nit dafa dem Banjul And their lawyer made a very, very solid case before the judge. Lim ko wax moy, look, ñu ñep dem nañ Banjul, ñep collect nañ sen signatures. But ki ñaka ñew, koku nga ne ko ne okay yow qualify nga. Ku nga xamne koku dafa later ñew. Nga ne ko so it means su fekkee ne koku mo ñëk ko na ñew by order. Koku mo ñëk ko na ñew before the other guy bi nga wax ne koku qualify na. That means koku dang ko qualify clear. So it's not fair.
Okay.
It's not fair at all.
Okay.
But then also, then ya loi because loi bi lim wax dafa clear, dafa leer. Nit su nomination am bi so problem. Bala nomination bi di yee dang ko wara o nga ne ko ne sa li ak li dafa am problem. Then nga jox ko that opportunity mu correct ko bala nomination bi jee. Waye buñ gisee lolu dañ leen baxé ci biir because already it was premeditated. Xam nañ ñan ak ñan lañ bëgg éliminer ñom docteur yeb bokka ci lolu non. Mo da dem ko.
But Lamin, what do you think the main reason be? Why exactly?
No, I mean, I know people are saying, okay, some of the officials belong to particular political parties, which man munumako confirm. But then I think arrogance, there is a lot of arrogance at the IEC. And this election is no play. This is not a game. And there is also the issue of, because all along Lindon Buwomoy, we are untouchable. Sun loi bi mo ñu jox sun doole. Sun la rejected is final. Who told you that? These people don't have an idea as to but xamuñ sa lan la ñoo def because sun lawyer bi I mean I was trying to even speak to him. He was like, I'm not surprised. Didn't you hear what the judge said? I mean, we lost the case. I am not surprised. A whole lawyer, you don't even know what you are doing. Then you have IC officers being on appeal. Mandam na IC to speak to some of their officers, and they brought me all these documents. Wala li messenger really loi bi lim wax is final. Ñun liñ gisoon buñ jël is final. Man suma xel ne but these people don't know what they are doing. Who told you? A court of law can change that. Can say, look, this law is a bad law. You overturn. But they were relying on that, and it backfired. And now they are still in contempt of the court because them put additional signatures from Banjul. That means violate court order in contempt of court. That is what they are doing. So, but then they have to be serious. This is going to be on them. This election, they have to serve this election and serve it right. If they don't do it, it's going to be a mess. And if it happens, I mean, they are the people that people will hold accountable. Whatever happens. So they have to be serious.
Okay. So, basa nañ dem and then ñëw ci set.
In this country, there is no proper check and balances in every sector. Who is checking on IEC? Do you know?
Well, I don't have an idea about that.
So IEC is just like we have ministers, parliamentarians, and we don't know the accountability. My problem is Dekabi. Who is checking on IEC? IEC, Ningiwara conduct an election, and their preparedness to defend themselves. Even the lawyer, so could you say, you know that this is just a bogus lawyer. Tahawrek munta was amud lumo wasap. You see, so type a marble. The meaning of marble is actually Gambia. The only country in the world where you use marble for election in Gambia. There was a political will, 2018-2019, pour gaining marble be turned that would have changed a lot in our political landscape, in our electoral landscape. But Gambia is not a serious country. I swear down. It's not election. Moy luy defar deka moy luy yaha deka moy luy indi hex deka ño xamne ño responsible ci lolu Sambu Jang, for example, I'm going to ask Doctor something. Everybody talks about this guy, and there are political parties who are boasting of having control of IEC only in Gambia. Who controls IEC? Who appoints the chairman of IEC? Who controls? Who IEC? Chicken Lenye report. We don't even know who is accountability be fanla. Okay. So IEC, to an extent, you understand the law is there and people will come after them, and they are not even prepared to understand that law was a decree. It came before 1997 Constitution, 1960 law when you won. But why would you sit and say, Togne, that law you have anybody can contest that in the court of law, not win against them. Why didn't they change that law? You have a constitutional amendment, you have the parliament, you change at some point, Dr. Dumuna Ambuyoba IC to court. But they opened the gate, and who are these lawyers who are advising them? They're not even looking at these documents rightly. That's one thing. And that this tells us a lot about these people conducting our election. And this should be an eye-opener for this government.
Okay.
For now, Dr. Tay, dafa touch cast bi si dëkk bi. Understand that there's someone in IEC who is running the show. Evident bi mu ngi clear on every platform boo dem tey di nga gis boy bi nga gis netaalam with some people ñoo xam ne they claim to be friends of this guy who are running the IEC. IEC dañu war a impassion to extent boo xam ne nobody should even, they should not be invited. Foo xam ne koo xam ne am na interest in election bi, they should not be seen or heard with those people in any company or in any situation. But right now, from nekani, you compromise that institution. You compromise the most important institution in our election, electoral, circle, in our election in this country. The election bini. Understand that dictatorship amatu fi. Ku winut wala IEC luñ def ni already yow so amute confident whatever happened December 4th mun nga tok nga ne nanguloko. The doctor lu mo wax ni all the signs for indi disability in this country are evident. maa ngi bëgg a laajte doctor because doctor wax na ko si li fi na mu ne this election is exclusionary, it's not inclusive. Te loolu means that people are targetedly removed or excluded from this election. And that is a serious allegation. And doctor also said that there are people in IEC who are also leaning towards a particular political party. Doctor, could you tell us who this political party is? Because, Giss nañ what's trending on Facebook. Because Ansu yàlla wax loolu nga ne fii Giss la. Fii dañoo wax yëpp ñu faram-fàccee yëpp. So, doctor, could you tell us who do you think this particular Sambujang guy, who is in control of IEC, as you said, is leaning towards, and which political party he is leaning towards?
Well, the Mole Munawa ban political party specifically, but just open your eyes and look around you. Look at the spaces, look at social media, listen, just violent health, you know which political party. I'm not going to do it, but one thing I know, no matter how in a public platform, one thing I can tell you is that he has links with a particular political party, and that is Mununko dispute, and there is evidence to that. That one I can guarantee you. But the political party specifically, I don't want to go because Buguma dragged in that political party into this mess. I don't have an issue with that political party. The issue I have with is the way Sambujang is running IEC. It is dictatorial, is in blatant disregard of the rule of law, and nga institution lu la ne nga def.
Lan moy palasam ci IEC?
Moy this, in fact, palasam is not even covered by the Electoral Act. The CEO, the Chief Electoral Officer, neko ci act bi, dañ ko create. And today we should even ask whether IEC has quorum in the commissioners. Ana commissioners Kanga Musa Dega, they lost 2 commissioners after Jammeh left. They lost Mali, a brilliant guy come to Mone Breme. 3 months ago, they lost a very brilliant lady because Koko Mune, apparently, I cannot confirm it, Mom, young IEC 20-something in Lens half. Don't you talk, guy the Yaligi boom the fee for our country, mu resign. Danga Musa gets going to replace. Madden ko replace. Inga, IEC
who is supposed to replace them?
They should bring new commissioners. I think it's Parliament that does that. Something like the President does that. But replace it. So it means those IC, in fact, do they have quorum commissioners?
Is ill-advised.
You know this mess? Do they get benediction by the commissioners? It feels like they're even silent. When we went to IEC, the worst part of it is that when they invited us, we went with our lawyers. An important institution like that, an important nyolo axa lawyer. You don't pass the Electoral Act. You see this section says this. Malene, you guys, you're not serious. You're not lawyers. How can you interpret? You want to implement. You're not the interpreting role. Where are your lawyers? So the issue is Moene. IEC should have been reformed from the onset as part of the electoral reform. Why did not happen? So Moene, we need to pay attention to detail. They've made mistakes. In 2016, they made mistakes. In Nyamina West, they made mistakes. Banjul mayoral elections, they made mistakes. They did not do a proper job. During the registration process, they made mistakes. Why? Because they told Rahim Malik Law that you can give attestation paper. The court, they have no mandate to do that. Understand? So they've lost court cases. They've promised diaspora vote. Diaspora vote, they lost that case at the courts. So listen, the red flag has been there all the time. But hamga Gambia and Nyuntei, Lunyu affect to track, we tend to ignore it. Best to explode the new one, Nekenila one. Lunyawa Mwene, we need to be vigilant and hold IEC accountable and make sure they hold a free, fair, and peaceful election. Tell society a game, xeex am referee ba jaay match bi
Diga.
su referee bi fayee man maa ngi mel tey ma nekkoon do benn game la woon Saraba ak Dragons finals referee dafa jaay match bi blatantly mu xam ne jaay na ko de fekk box ba amutoon fence balaa moo piip dafa dem taw boori police line because police line si nga la nekk last piip bi fekk dugg na police line because xam na jaay na game bi so fu mu nekk nii IEC dañ war a xam ne the peace of this country
depends on them.
So they cannot undermine it. Then you want to make sure they pay attention to detail. Make sure that polling day deployment will happen in time. When polling station water will be late. The people that are going to deploy, they should not employ those people based on sumamboka or no nepotism. No, let them get competent polling officials, competent returning officers, competent presiding officers. I'm not experienced and they wouldn't take anything for granted. You make sure they are vigilant. Make sure all their devices work. Make sure because this like Malawani, Rahima is Lizzie Johnson in Banjul. I'm not you tamper with her. I was observing that election. I'm not you tamper with her drum. Bem the Facebook Live, I was there. Imagine what happened in the election. Imagine cooling off day in Nyamina. One particular party was campaigning. You call IEC na nyo si dara. Imagine what happened election bini. Wow. Imagine polling station. Imagine what happened Jabang during registration. 2 days Jabang munu register because device be temperature is too hot or delays him. Imagine bena nyari polling station delay polling do start by 12 o'clock. Muneka is strong of a particular political party. Wow. So don't matter name. We need to be extremely careful. Man, I've always advocated. Bumandeme conference last month. I think it was there. Mane international donors in it. If you want to help Gambia's electoral process, support IEC. Give them capacity. Give them finances because they have serious challenges.
Okay now. So set quickly. No. Time because if not, set do munawa. So opinion about the set Mati and then you close because time be jana. Then okay.
I think doctor should sue the IEC for destroying his campaign.
Set Noel.
Yeah, you know, for me, I think doctor has raised many important issues, and we have been part of a lot of process. We were trying to reform the electoral law itself, and I think the legal environment is one problem. But of course, the other issue is also, and many people are raising it, is the issue of capacity as well. I mean, not capacity only in terms of Nufaneka, but is it that does the institution require additional, support like legal statistics issues? People have this perception that they've been making mistakes around issues.
Okay.
How do they address those issues?
Okay.
But when it comes to the election, I see referee. I mean, who compete, a quarter compete, and I think to save IEC, of course, how many legal reforms that is the problem of the politicians that but IEC should not be the ones responsible for taking the blame.
Okay.
And I think what they are doing at this minute and the kind of narratives and discussions it seems like they are taking the issues of the legal reform again anytime it's more internal issues that which they have to address. I mean, this election is high stake. It's the first election and and parties, everything is kind of level. So referee bisi bopam dafa wara progressive in a way I mean it accepts the changing situation. Mu xamne situation bi mu ngi change, mu xamne I mean reality bi is not like the period bo xamne people were not questioning. I mean, people will question everything in this country today. Okay. And people, when they feel like they are not treated fairly, I mean, now everybody is going to the court. We go to the court, and that's one of the things that I really like about what CA and all the parties did, to use the court as a way to seek remedy. Okay. And when the court rules, I think what IEC needs to do is to accept that and then to try to see how best they can implement that. But without that, I mean, they're going to create, this perception of their impartiality where they're supposed to be very independent. So context is very important for them to notice and then to realize. And just Monday, you released the Afrobarometer, we are showing, I mean, majority of Gambians valuing elections. I mean, last it was free and fair. 85% of the population when the election is the best way to choose their leaders. Okay. I mean, almost it also 8 in 10 Gambians also said, the results of the election that they reflect, I mean, the winner. So it means that the people really value election. When they mention about the issues of the media, but there is a decline in trust in terms of the IEC. And I think when people are losing trust in an institution, I think there's also I mean, will fit within the perception of the people. And I think IEC need to be careful, because at the end of the day, then they want in many situations where there is conflict, and the way conflicts are happening right now within the West African sub-region or Africa in general, is mostly through elections. Like civil wars, you know, they are thing of the past, but conflict is through elections.
Okay, now,
and that's what they need to.
Okay, said. Now, because time be Jana tag, but then Doc Nyo see Sovebu Center for Policy and then Research and Strategic Studies. Guys, and so we want an NPP guy really going lead, for example, not for example, but then according to Nyom, West Coast region, they going for lead, but then a little bit like UDP, Silumofikis, and then the same thing. According to guy, not according to so baby, but because man confirm the nitila, and then KMC the same thing. Guy end of the NPP for lead, and then lead UDP the body, and then guy of LRR the same thing. Like getting rumble UDP a lot. But then I'm really surprised with figures you want to get with GDC and everything. This is so funny. So Doc, so opinion about this whole thing. Like time be but then the brief just
I think it's goodness State and Fee, because State is the master of public opinion service in this country. I mean, obviously they help in giving us idea as to what's the perception out there, but they are not cast in stone. When I remember the Brexit, all the polls were indicating that the British will not vote to leave the European Union, but they would have the European Union. I think also with Trump as well. Huh? So I'm not even there are aberrations. Legi happen to reflect what the opinion polls say. But CEPRAS is a very well respectable institution linked to the UTG. They are very independent. They are not non-party affiliated. And these are just, it's a sample, so say the sample size, I think it's 1,200, 1,100. But again, it gives us an idea. Te so ame so fi danga malaria. Lo de def xam nga duñ test sa blood bi yeb. Dañ jël tuuti lañ dé jël. Ñu bako ci lab bi test ko, ñu am nga malaria. So that sample size bu ko dé heb. Di nga check validity bi, internal validity, external validity, ak you know. I think all these things have been catered for. But like I said, this is just a perception survey. December 4th, mun na nekk ne mu nekk in line with lii lu mu wax. mun naa nekk totally something totally different. Ki ñu fa bind ne am na 2% or 1%. mun naa ñëw sax mu ñu am 45%. But like I said, I believe in science. I believe in this kind of thing. So month, this will give us me an idea as to how December 4th will go.
Okay, now, Lamin, sa opinion, nung gawe rek because time began na gata rek, and then Basamba said na gata, please.
Yeah, I know. It is not a very popular poll.
Might not be reality. How do you know? Not reality. See.
No, I think that is the reality on the ground, because nit ñi tamit dañ ko misrepresent wala dañ ko misinterpret. Survey bi ñi dañ dem ci nit ñi, they picked random selection, ñu select 1,184 Gambians. Ku nekk ñu laaj la yow kan nga foog ne mooy win election bi. ñu jox leen seen answers. So loolu lañ compile ñu génnee ko ne NPP mu ngi lead. Survey bi wala CEPRAS waxul ne Barrow mu ngi win. waxuñ loolu ñoom liñ joxe rek mooy dañ dem si nit ñi laajte leen kan mooy win election bi. Citizens yi ñu wax leen ne ñun man foog naa kii NPP mooy win kële foog mu ne UDP mooy win. So loolu lañ compile that 1,184 people. loolu lañ compile and the NPP ci foofu la nekk di lead. So I think Gambians need to understand it, because they are insulting these people, attacking these people. It's unfortunate. waaye ñii dañ dem si nit ñi ni ñuy jox leen seen I mean ñu indicate kan lañ foog ne kooku mooy win election bi. That is what they put in the survey. So I think, and they also went to each of the regions, all the regions soo ko xoolee, only Banjul rek la ñi nga xam ne jox ne respondents yi. In Banjul you see that ne ñu bëri dañ wax ne ñoon xamuñ kañ mooy win Banjul.
Okay, now Basamba, and then you them said.
Just like Doctor said, we believe in science, and then these are also science, and they will help us to shape our ideas. ñu ñoo laajte sax xëy na ñooñu sax ñu votal NPP. wala luñ gis ñoom tam ñu ngi nga nekk gis nga soo ma laajtee na man kan lay votal. ak man li ma foog dama laa ne lii laa foog, because docteur lu mu foog waxtaan naa moom. laa mi foog waxtaan, so mun naa waxal about 10 or 20 or 100 people. because waxtaan naa ñu bari. so moo tax question bi mooy kan nga foog mooy win. waaw kooku ku ma wax ni mu ngi wax for 10 people 20 people as well. because wax naa ñoo xam ne ñoom ñu ne NPP ñooy win, so ñu ne NPP. so I think it's interesting. mu ngi wane ne NPP ñu ngi win about 41%. which is huge, but also we also need to look at disparities between NPP lu moo win ak ñoo xam ne they are undecided. The undecided is about 25 to 25%. So loolu is also huge. 25 boobu boo ko boolee si UDP mu dañoo win. soo ko boolee si ñeneen parti yi moom xam naa duñ win waa dañoo nekk main contender.
Okay.
waaw. waaw ñoo xam ne undecided.
dafa decrease. last survey bu gaa def the same survey.
waaw
I think was it 3 months ago. it was 40-something% undecided. léegi mu decrease to 25%.
People are leaning towards political parties.
Exactly.
People are supporting the political parties.
Okay, sit.
Yeah, I think first point buma wara def mo nek ma clarify ne man with Cyprus I work as a because man suma der mu ngi duga fu nek tamit I work as a project director for Afrobarometer. So man duma mëna waxal Cyprus. But I agree entirely comme Doc Lungwa because ñun we are not politicians, we are scientists. And political scientists li ñoo nek di def moy pour ñu measure, and what we are trying to measure moy perceptions, and we do it at the center ak ñom tamit ñom ko def. And I think they are very innovative. This is the first time where we have a pool boo xam ne mu ngi contribute just like political parties yi ñu increase civil society tamit mu ngi work, and research institutions are also working to ensure ne they participate in the electoral process. And the way we're doing that is aggregating people. I will agree with ñoom ñëpp lu ñu wax because this is also a perception, and perception mun naa change tey mun naa nekk lele, and then next by the 4th of December mu change entirely because people seen gis-gis la before even the undecided, maybe why they were undecided, maybe dégguñu woon political parties yëpp, now dégg nañ campagne bi commencé na, and this study was done after nomination was done. So now people can specify, okay, I've seen this party, I've heard them, and they can make their decisions on that. So I think this is just a contribution to our democratization process. And scientists at our own level, this is the only way we can contribute. And for me, I feel they have done well, and they are coming out of that, and they should ignore the negativities because every poll that they know with that, they feel they are losing, they always try to blame the pollster, but what you do is just asking people, and then you aggregate what they are saying, and then you present that. You have nothing. And even how people use the data is not your business. You just present your data, but you have presented the right data, and that's what is important. And they have contributed well, and for me, I think that is important to state.
Okay, now, next week, inshallah, New Indian Benen Giss. I think next week Friday, nañ am Benen Giss, and then next day be ñu am election si. Sorry, next week Friday, inshallah, right? I'm hella confused. I don't even know what signal I'm getting. But then next week, inshallah, nañ ñu ak Benen Giss important pour askan wi, and then hopefully nañ am probably tough mu join you ci show bi with other people, and then ñu ñëw wax naka la ñoo def ba jàmm mun a sax ci réew mi. Ba next week, inshallah. Thank you very much.
yéen ñëpp gis ngeen ne dañu oote ne nañ ànd soppi nguur gi fi nekkoon. loolu pexe la parti yi bokkuñu xalaat bokkuñu jubluwaay lii pexe la rek pour génnee ngu réew ci loxo benn nit te jubluwaay bi mooy won ne fexe nag nit ñi moom réew mi ne nañu ànd ci xel ñu tabaxaat réew mi.
Tegabi, you want to be humble and everything. Why you are not an ordinary minister in this cabinet? That's true, because you are head of the UDP. You are like a father figure to most of the. It's the fact. Whether mom accept or not, so the point is, because of that prominence the baro def la consult or legi yow ya de yobu ay nit ci baro pour mu appoint lolu moy lakte dal li mo am.
President Adama dafa am mandate because Gambians choose ne na liggéey réew mi mu tànn ay nit ñu liggéey ak moom man ci ñooñ la bokka ma ngi liggéey ak moom
ngaje ko ande mela ay mol ay tiñarol minke Gambia jang mol ka wole tanka foko APRC fananda do tiñaro tola alle mu stade le so ka APRC ta kala image de da kotenge isaje fu Gambenol kotenge si la pati ñina kotenge
no yalo say you are putting me in a funny position. Come the ni fa de ko bita jahannam ni kala te ko kala